name is Caitlin, and I'm here with the UNH Cooperative Extension to let you know what's the season at the New Hampshire Farmers Market, as well as give you healthy tips and recipes on how to use the fresh vegetables. Today I'll be talking about kale, and there are actually three types that are commonly found at the New Hampshire Farmers Markets, and they include red kale, curly kale, and dragon kale. Red and curly kale are interchangeable and they have a tougher leaf, so they're better served cooked. But dragon kale is better for raw dishes like salads. You want to look for dark green leaves that aren't wilted or brown. Kale is a very nutrient-dense vegetable. It has a ton of vitamin A and K, which are great nutrients, vitamin C, as well as calcium. Today we will be cooking kale chips, and I will be using curly kale, but you could use red kale if that's what you have on hand. Make sure that after you wash your leaves that they're very dry, otherwise the kale chips will come out soggy. And now I'm going to remove this stem because the stem is really tough and fibrous, and we want our kale chips to be nice and crunchy. You don't want your pieces to be too small because it will shrink in the oven. A medium to large size piece. I'm going to go ahead and dry these off one more time just to make sure that they're really dry, because if there's any moisture on the leaves they won't crisp up as they should. I preheated my oven at 300 degrees because you want to cook them really low and slow. That's the secret to making them nice and crispy. If the oven's too hot, like some recipes suggest 400 degrees, the outer edges will burn before the inside is cooked and you'll get this mushy, half burned, half uncooked kale chip, and you want them to be nice and crunchy. So now that my leaves are nice and dry, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And I'm going to add, you can add whatever seasonings you'd like, but I'm going to use salt for mine, around a 1/4 teaspoon, but you can just eyeball it. And then I'll be adding Parmesan cheese because that's what I like on mine, so around 2 tablespoons or so. And I'll also add paprika, which is an awesome spice. It's this really red and fragrant spice. And then the last spice I'm going to use is garlic powder. It's important that you season them really well so that they have a lot of flavor. And what's awesome about the curly kale is that because of its curly edges, it really holds on to spices and Parmesan cheese and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this up with my hands. I took a baking sheet and lined it with tin foil and sprayed it with a little non-stick spray. So that will keep my chips from sticking to the baking sheet. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my kale pieces and put them on a single layer on the sheet. You want to make sure that they have enough space because if they're too close together, they'll steam instead of get nice and crispy. So sometimes it'll take 2 or even 3 baking sheets to fit all of the kale chips so that they're not too crowded. So this is how many I could fit on my sheet. I'm probably going to do a second sheet. But I'm going to stick this one in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. You'll have to watch it and see how they're looking. Come out of the oven now, and they're really nice and crispy, and you can just take them off the sheet. See how they're nice and crispy and they're not wilted or burned. And you can store these in an airtight container. Join me next time where I'll feature another vegetable and recipe. Until then, for more delicious recipes like this one, check out what'scooking.fns.usda.gov.